She looked me dead in the eye, smiled, and said, "You're my practice husband. Don't ruin tonight." And I nodded once like I was taking a work note. Hey friends, please subscribe and turn on notifications, like this video, and leave a comment with your impressions. This will be a great help. Thank you. We never tire of reminding you. It's all thanks to you. I'm 39 and I live in Richmond, Virginia. This happened in mid-October, when the leaves start turning and the evenings get that crisp edge that makes you want to stay in and cook dinner. My life was steady then. I had a good job, a predictable routine, and a relationship I thought was moving towards something permanent. My girlfriend at the time was Lila, 33. She was a senior account manager at a commercial insurance brokerage. She was sharp, social, and good at reading people. I work as an estimator for a small construction company that does municipal contracts and commercial renovations. My days are bids, timelines, vendor calls, and paperwork. I don't like chaos. I like things written down because it keeps everyone honest. Lila and I had been together a little over 2 years and living together in a rented row house in the Fan for about 9 months. We had started talking seriously about getting engaged. Not in a vague, dreamy way. In a real way. I had already placed a ring deposit with a jeweler in Short Pump, $1,500 to reserve a stone and lock in the setting. The invoice was in my email with clear terms, refundable within 5 days if the stone hadn't been mounted, and after that, refundable minus a restocking fee, depending on work started. We also had a venue appointment scheduled for the next week to tour a small historic garden space for a late summer wedding. Lila had told her friends we were finally doing it. She had shown my sister pictures of dress styles. She had started a shared planning doc called Our Next Chapter. I was the one paying attention to contracts and deposits, but I was also emotionally in it. I thought we were building. Then, late September into early October, Lila's behavior changed in small, irritating ways. She started dressing up for ordinary evenings. She'd say she was grabbing a quick drink with work people, then come home later than planned with a bright, performative energy that didn't match the situation. She began taking calls on the back steps instead of in the living room. Her phone used to sit on the kitchen counter while she cooked. Now it stayed in her hand, screen angled away, like it was a fragile secret. One afternoon, I came home early because a job site got pushed, and I found her in the bedroom trying on a dress she hadn't worn in a year. She looked startled when she saw me. "What's the occasion?" I asked, keeping it light. She laughed too quickly. "Nothing. I'm cleaning out the closet." In her hand was her phone, and she swiped a message away as if it burned. I didn't accuse her. I'm not that guy. But I did start noticing the schedule patterns. Thursday nights suddenly became networking. Saturday afternoons became errands. And every time I asked a normal question, she answered like I was intruding. Then, on a Monday night, we were at our kitchen table eating takeout when she mentioned a name from her past. "So, Nate is in town," she said, like it was a trivia fact. I knew Nate. Not personally, but as a shadow in stories. Her ex-boyfriend from years ago, the one she described as fun but unreliable. She had told me he moved out west. She had also told me, bluntly, that he never grew up. I kept my voice calm. "Why is he in town?" She shrugged. "Work trip." He texted me. "And?" I asked. She didn't look at me as she said it. "And we're meeting up." "When?" I asked. "Friday," she said. "There's a charity mixer at the Cork Hotel. He's coming with some clients and asked me to go." I nodded slowly. "Okay, I'll go with you." That's when she put her fork down like I had annoyed her. "No," she said. "You're not going." I blinked. "Why?" She leaned back in her chair and gave me a smile that felt like a slap. "Because I need you to be cool," she said. "This is a networking thing, and you can get quiet." "Quiet," I repeated. She waved her hand. "You know what I mean. You'll stand there looking like you hate everyone, and it'll make me look bad." I didn't yell. "So your solution is I stay home while you go to a hotel mixer with your ex?" She nodded like that was reasonable. "Yes." Then she delivered the line that made the inside of my chest go still. She said, "You're my practice husband. You make life easy. Don't ruin tonight by acting like it's serious." Practice husband. Like I was a placeholder. Like I was there to provide stability while she auditioned other options. I stared at her for a second, and I could see her watching my face, waiting for me to react so she could call me insecure or dramatic. It was a power move. She wanted me to swallow the insult and prove I was safe, predictable, controllable. And in that moment, Something in me clicked. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I didn't ask her to reconsider. I just nodded once. Okay. She looked relieved, like she'd successfully managed me. Good. The next morning, I handled the part of my life that could be handled, the commitments. I opened my email and searched the jeweler invoice. Subject line: deposit receipt, stone hold confirmation. I read the terms again. I was still within the refundable window by 1 day if the stone hadn't been mounted. I replied to the original email thread. Hi, this is Colin Meeks. I need to cancel order #SP 3091 effective today due to a change in circumstances. Please confirm the full refund amount and processing timeline. Thank you. I sent it at 9:06 a.m. Then I called the jeweler during business hours because I like clarity. A manager named Priya answered. She verified my order number and confirmed that the stone was still on hold, not mounted. We can refund the full deposit, she said. It'll post back to your card in 5 to 7 business days. I asked her to email confirmation. She did. Subject: cancellation confirmed, refund pending. It spelled out: deposit $1,500, refund $1,500, timeline 5 to 7 business days. I saved it in a folder called October. Next, I canceled the venue tour. Not out of spite, but because I was no longer planning a wedding. I emailed the venue coordinator and said we needed to reschedule indefinitely. Simple, polite. No drama. Then I pulled up our lease because I needed to know my options. Our rental was in both our names. The lease had a clause about early termination and roommate release. It stated that one tenant could be removed with landlord approval if the remaining tenant qualified alone. Otherwise, early termination required a releasing fee equal to 1 month's rent and 45 days' notice. I emailed our property manager. Hello, this is Colin Meeks at 312 Willoughby Street. I need information on removing one tenant from the lease or early termination due to a relationship change. Please send the process and fees in writing. Thank you. I didn't tell Lila yet, because telling someone who likes control gives them time to manipulate the process. I wanted facts first. Then I began packing. Only what was clearly mine. My clothes, my tools, my work laptop, my personal documents, my camera that I used for job site photos, my guitar, the cast iron skillet my dad gave me, my books, the framed photo of my mom. I left shared items and anything questionable. I left the couch, the TV, the kitchen appliances we bought together, the bed frame, the dishes. I didn't want a property fight. I reserved a storage unit online for month to month and booked a small moving van for Saturday morning. I also called my friend Jamal, who lives in North Chesterfield. Can I crash at your place for a bit? I asked. He said, yes. Bring what you need. Friday came and Lila acted almost cheerful. She did her hair, wore a fitted blazer, and sprayed perfume in the hallway. Don't wait up, she said, grabbing her purse. It might be late. I nodded. Okay. She paused in the doorway like she expected me to protest. That's it. I kept my voice neutral. You said it was networking. She narrowed her eyes. You're being cold. I didn't argue. Have a good night. She left. I didn't follow her. I didn't track her phone. I didn't do anything illegal. I kept packing. Around 7:40 p.m., the shared tablet on our kitchen counter chimed. It was logged into our household email for bills, renter's insurance, and anything home. A notification popped up across the top of the screen. Subject: valet receipt, Quirk Hotel. It was addressed to Lila, and it was sent to our shared household inbox because she used that email for a lot of reservations. The receipt had a timestamp, 7:21 p.m., and it listed guest name, Nate H. Guest name. I didn't have to guess. I didn't have to invent. It was a lawful receipt delivered to a shared account on a shared device. I took a screenshot and emailed it to myself. 10 minutes later, another email arrived. Subject: thanks for your purchase, Quirk Hotel Lounge. It was a receipt for a bottle service add-on, paid with Lila's card. It included the note, reserved for Nate plus Lila. Reserved. I stared at the screen, and my stomach tightened, but my mind stayed calm. Receipts don't yell. They don't argue. They just show you what's happening. I finished packing and left the house around 9 p.m. with a duffel bag of essentials. I stayed at Jamal's place because I didn't want a midnight confrontation. I wanted a clean exit. The next morning, I picked up the moving van at 8:15 a.m. and returned to the row house with Jamal to help me lift boxes. Lila's car was parked out front. She was home. She opened the door before I even knocked. Hair messy, face already defensive. "What is this?" she demanded, seeing boxes by the door. I kept my voice low. "I'm moving my things." She blinked like she couldn't process it. "Because I went to a mixer?" I didn't argue. "Because you called me your practice husband. Because you told me to stay home so you could go with your ex." She scoffed. "It was networking." I nodded once. "Then you wouldn't have needed me to stay home." She stepped closer, voice rising. "You're punishing me." "No," I said. "I'm leaving." She laughed sharply. "You're being dramatic." Nothing happened. I kept my tone even. Valet receipt and lounge purchase came to our shared inbox. Guest name. Reserved table. Her eyes widened and her face hardened. "You went through my email." I shook my head. It came to the shared household inbox on the kitchen tablet. It popped up as notifications. She stared at me like she wanted to rewrite reality. Then she started cycling through the familiar pattern. Minimization. "It was just a drink." Blame. "You're insecure." Insults. "You're not fun. You're stiff. You make everything heavy." Tears. Her eyes suddenly filled and her voice cracked. "I can't believe you're doing this." I didn't yell. I didn't call her names. I kept my lines short. "I canceled the ring," I said. Her face changed instantly. "What ring?" "The one I put a deposit on," I said. "Refund is processing." She looked like she'd been hit. "You were going to propose?" I nodded. "Yes." She stared at the boxes like she could reverse time by staring hard enough. "You did this behind my back." I kept it factual. "You made your plans behind mine." She tried to pivot. "Nate is nothing. He's just history." I didn't argue about history. "You treated me like practice." "I'm not doing that." She stepped closer, reaching for my arm. I stepped back. "Don't," I said quietly. She wiped her face, angry now. "So you're just leaving me with the rent?" I shook my head. I emailed the property manager for options. "We'll handle lease and bills in writing." She sneered through tears. "You're such a robot." I didn't react. "I'm being careful." I loaded my boxes. I took only my things. I left shared items untouched. Jamal helped without speaking much. We moved efficiently, like a job, because that was the safest way to do it. I left a short note on the counter before I walked out. "I've removed my personal property. I'll communicate about lease and bills by email. Colin." Then I drove away. The contact attempts came fast. First, Lila called my phone repeatedly. I didn't answer. The voicemails bounced between anger and pleading. Second, an unknown number texted me that night. "This is Nate. You're making her cry over nothing. Relax." I didn't reply. I screenshot it and blocked the number. Third, Lila emailed me from her work email on Monday, which told me she was desperate. Subject, "Please." The email was long and contradictory. She said I was punishing her. She said I was controlling. She said she never meant the practice husband comment. She said she missed me. She asked to reset. Then she accused me of ruining everything. It was all over the place. I replied with 2 sentences. "I will only communicate about lease and shared bills. Please do not contact me through your workplace." Then the intermediary appeared. Her friend Callista messaged me on social media saying Lila was devastated and I should at least talk. I responded once. "Please stop contacting me." Then I blocked. The property manager sent the lease options in writing. Lila could apply to take over the lease alone if she met income requirements. If not, early termination required a releasing fee and 45 days notice. The security deposit would be returned jointly at move-out. Lila didn't qualify alone, not because she was irresponsible, but because the rent in the fan is priced for dual incomes. She had been counting on my stability while calling me practice. Quiet karma showed up through the usual channels: money, embarrassment, and reality. She tried to keep the row house anyway, but she started missing payments on utilities. She called me to cover them just until things settled. I paid my share through the end of the month, emailed proof, and told her I would not take on new shared expenses. Nate, the ex she needed to impress, did what unreliable exes tend to do once the fun attention phase ends. He left. He didn't move to Richmond. He didn't realize what he lost. He stopped responding. Lila texted me one night late, angry and shaky, saying he just wanted to feel important. I didn't respond. Not because I was cruel, but because I wasn't her emotional cleanup crew anymore. Socially, it got messy for her too. Someone posted photos from the Quirk mixer. Nothing explicit, but it was clear. Lila and Nate standing close, smiling in a way that looked like a couple. The caption from a mutual acquaintance said, "So good seeing you two together again." Friends saw it. People asked questions. Lila tried to tell a story where I was jealous, but a public photo doesn't care about her story. Meanwhile, my refund hit. My bank notification came in at 10:13 a.m. on a Wednesday. Refund posted, $1,500. I saved it. I closed the loop. We ended up doing early termination of the lease. We split the releasing fee because our names were on the contract and I wasn't risking my credit. I paid my portion by cashier's check, got a receipt, and emailed her a copy. Clean, boring, final. By January, I was in a smaller apartment closer to work, living quietly. I had my routines back. I slept better. I cooked more. I stopped checking my phone like it was a threat. The epilogue moment happened in March, months later, in a place that felt fitting for how it all went down. I was at a home improvement store in Henrico on a Saturday morning, grabbing a pack of furnace filters and some caulk for a small job. I was standing in line at customer service because the self-checkout was backed up, and I heard my name. I turned and saw Lila. She looked different, not in a glamorous way, in a tired way. Hair pulled back, no bright smile, just a guarded expression and a shopping basket with a couple random items. "Colin," she said softly. I nodded. "Hi." She stepped closer, careful. "I didn't know you'd be here." "Errand," I said. She gave a small, nervous laugh. "Of course." She swallowed. "Can we talk?" "Just for a minute." I kept my voice polite. "About what?" Her eyes filled. "I messed up. I wanted to feel chosen. And I treated you like you were replaceable." That was the first honest sentence I'd heard from her in a long time. I nodded once. "You did." She flinched at the agreement. "Nate is gone. He wasn't serious." "I feel stupid." I didn't gloat. "I'm sorry you feel that way." She looked up at me like she wanted me to rescue her, to be the steady plan again. "I miss our life. I miss you." I kept my tone calm. "I don't miss being called practice." Tears slid down her cheeks. She wiped them fast, embarrassed in a public store. "Is there any chance?" she asked. I shook my head once. "No." She nodded like she already knew. "Okay." I nodded back. "Take care." Then my turn at the counter came. I handled my return and receipts, and I walked out into the cool air with my peace intact. If you've ever been treated like a placeholder while someone tested their options, tell me in the comments what your breaking point would have been.